Today I'm fixing a piece of history. Because it broke. Get out! Well, the sword blade is toast, so we're forging a new one. Actually, there's no need. We're gonna fix it like I fix myself. I need a bit of this and an ungodly amount of that. Welcome to the forge. Do you know that show, Forge and Fire? Of course you do, because every time... Bonjour.
What a dumbass.
What a wonderful world.
Because every time I tell people that I'm a blacksmith, they're like, oh, do you know that show, Forge and Fire, da 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 da? And of course I know it, and I bloody hate it. Hi, chat. Okay, pig. No, not eyes. Could have died. Should have died.
It does not explain why the sword is broken.
The thing is that in Forge and Fire, all tests are very abusive. They're like basically Warcraft. And I get it, it's a show. But the problem comes when normies tend to think that the definition of a proper sword is what shall be able to cut a pig in half, which is not right. When I think about it, it's not that wrong. Did I just kill my argumentation? Oh, fuck. So, lacking a pig to cut in half for obvious reason, and wanting to show off my big dick energy, I had to come up with a plan to prove that I made good sword. So, I decided to settle for the bend test that they do in Forge and Fire. And I took my sword, and as they do, I did the 45 thing. And it works flawless. In my mind, I was like, you know, like, I got balls, I can do better. So, I decided to do the 90. Why not breaking? Can do 180. So I decided to settle for the 90 degree. Do you want to break or not? You work on the test, why don't you work? So I decided to settle on the 90 degree. And as you see, well, there was a failure point. And sword are not meant to go to 90, but I don't know, I just want it. So here I am with a broken sword needing a new blade. And that's exactly what you're gonna do. We're gonna make a new blade for that sword. It's better cook. The sword actually is 5 years old and it was made with only one tool, the angle grinder. Well, they explained a lot about the shape, the fact that it's not that straight, it's not that sharp, and for those who've seen it, obviously it's broken. So, with all of that in mind, I started to make a plan, a good one, the kind with like lines and everything. First things first, we're going to start with the groove that is in the middle of the blade. You know that thing that is meant to drain the blood of your enemies? It is not all accurate, but I like the idea, so we're going to rock with it. So, to do it, I need the little wood attachment, and I need the table to be at the right level, so it's exactly in the middle of the blade. And I don't have some fancy technological thing like it with a screw and thing like that, no. I just use a clamp and some random piece of metal, but I'm not that random, because I know which one I need, but where they are is a totally different question. I ruined the blade. But there's no problem because, you know, I'm an adult, so I managed to grow and to not be impacted by those kind of things anymore. And all saying, I was almost eager to try it one more time to prove my skill again.
Just wanna die.
So I started with the new blade. But this time I will not get fooled, and I decided to 3D printed some little piece of plastic that will allow me to measure the depth of the groove, which I used once and then totally forgot about them. But it worked in the end. No. Just pure skill. So quenching is basically like bringing up the sword to such a temperature that when you put it into the oil, it trusts the steel and then it becomes harder. To do that, you need a forge and the blade. And my very situation is that the forge is way too small compared to the blade, so I have to roaming back and forth, which is not the most fun thing to do. And adding that the fact that steel is quite bendy, even if it doesn't look like it. To make the matter worse, if you add heat to it, it actually becomes like a wet noodle, which is really hard to quench, because when you quench it, you need the sword to be perfect. You need the sword to be perfectly straight, which is not easy to do with a wet noodle. So I need to find a way to make the quench possible. And I thought longly about it, and there are 3 criteria that we need to look at. The first one is that the forge is too small, because I have to run it back and forth. But making a longer forge will actually be too expensive, so it is out of the question. The second one is that the blade is too thin, so we need either to add materials or something like that, which is not something I can do either, because adding materials to the blade is not something easy. The third one is gravity. And the problem is that since Newton invented gravity, it's basically everywhere. So me and my mate went on an expedition to find some places, some pockets, when there's no gravity.
Qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Jeter une pomme.
Non,
Et prendre des notes.
Le mec... Well, the expedition was not a success. I did not find a pocket without gravity. I should have thought about that. But I had an idea. Why instead of fighting against gravity, don't I use gravity? Or maybe the other way around. Oh!
I don't think you can conceive how much of a big brain move it is. So,
Hello and welcome to my presentation. It is named How Does It Work? It is made by me and presented by me. So basically we got the sword and the forge. The forge is up in the air and the sword also. And the sword goes down into the forge, gets it up, and then goes into the tank to get quenched in oil. And that is basically the process. Thank you for listening. If you got any questions, don't. Thank you. But first, before doing it, let's test it with the old sword that I ruined and not the new one, because I don't want to ruin it. So, yeah. With this first try, there's a lot that went wrong, like the fact that it caught on fire, then the rope burned, then it went crashing at the back of a tank. But other than that, well, it's a success. The sword is quenched, it is straight, so next time I simply need to not burn the rope and be good. bloody hot, but yeah, it's straight. There's a tiny little bend, but other than that, that's a success. I lied. Well, the thing is that I didn't manage to catch back the bend. The thing is, I used all the trick in the books, but it didn't work. And the only way that you can reform a steel that is already bent and already quenched is to quench it again. So that's what I did, and I record the scene just to record it, okay? And without the sound because I totally forgot. But the idea was just, I recorded in case something happened, just like that time. And I will simply, I don't know, lie the fact that I managed to quench it the first time. But as you can see, the steel went crashing down at the back of the tank, which the first time was comedy, it was planned, it was written on the script. This time it's tragedy. It went all wrong. Like, I didn't manage to catch the rope in time and it went crashing down into the tank. And the bend, let's just talk about the bend for a second. It is not a normal bend, okay? It is not the normal way that I can correct it or reverse it. This time it was bending like a saber, which is not what I want, as you guess. So I don't know what to do. And the thing is that I don't want to redo another blade. Like, it's gonna be my third. What I'm gonna look like? I'm supposed to be a blacksmith and I'm failing on that. And it is exhausting. So maybe I have an idea. Okay, hear me out. If I could go down safely. Don't crack anything. You know, sometime life gave you lemon. If I never really understood the point of that saying because I quite like lemon. And right now I don't have lemon, I have a banana-shaped sword. But I think I got an idea. Instead of making a sword and failing once again, maybe I'm gonna play with that card and make a saber. You know what? I'm quite happy to stick with it, but it's different. Like, it's like looking like a sword, half like a katana, a saber. It's double-edged. It's weird, but it's cool. But now I need to see if it's fitting with the guard. Okay, I have to admit it's not that fancy. But you know what? At the point we are right now, I can do like another fully sword. Like, no need to take care of that sword anymore, or that shell of a sword. Let's just fucking make a saber, shall we? In the end, I did not give up. I'm quite happy with it. It does look pretty cool. And you might be thinking, why is that a tiny little handle? Because I have tiny little puny little hand. Also because there's a lot of reason that I can dive into. But the first one is that it just feels good in the end. Even if it's not, well, proportionate, we might say.
The sword is done, everything is good and perfect, and now it is time to chop things up. So now it's time to spend the next hour cleaning everything. The blade, you, and well, the sugar that I have on me. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe.